Sorry about not having a recording for you last week in this lovely story we've been telling, but no matter, you have one this week. So we'll pick up with our princess, not, well, still inside the tavern, but in her room. She, of course, has her room that was given to her by the lovely bartender, and she is sitting there and questioning everything she's done. Because, of course, the soldiers that came in, mentioned that the horrible curse has taken over the royal family and everyone that was at the banquet. And it wasn't meant to be a curse, it was just a simple spell. It was just supposed to be for a little bit, is all everything that's running through her mind. And she's just sitting there, wringing her fingers, unsure of what to do. And Mirror is, of course, laying next to her on the bed. And Mirror comes to and says, "Princess, it'll be alright. We'll figure something out. The first thing we need to do is figure out how to break said spell. And to do that, we'll have to get some, I believe they're called adventures in the books you've read. Yes, we'll have to get some adventures and figure out how to break the spell. We'll have to get some information. Um, did you happen to bring the book that the spell was in?" And the princess, she thinks for a minute or two, and she goes, let me look through my bag, and I might have." And so she starts frantically dumping out her bag of belongings onto the bed and looking through to see if maybe she brought that book. She brought a couple things, an outfit or two, you know, some rations, a little bit of food, her 20 gold, some of which she's, now paid to the bartender for her room for the week. But, and, of course, her instruments. And she looks through and she does find that she did pack a magic book. She starts flipping through the pages very quickly, hoping that this is the same book that she got the spell from, hoping that there is a way to reverse it. And she flips through and flips through and flips through, and she finds the page that it's on, but the bottom half is torn off. And she goes, "Well, I found the spell mirror, but it seems I didn't fully read it because the bottom half, um, for this sleep spell, it's torn off. I used all of the proper ingredients, sang the proper notes and everything, but the bottom half here, for the reversal, it, it it's torn off. It the only thing it says is that I have to go to someplace in the south. That's where the people with the horns are. Um, so if that's the case, then yeah, I guess we'll have to find some adventures in the morning and go from there. And they can't know I'm the princess, but I mean, surely people will be looking to break the curse, and surely it'll have gotten up by morning that it's a curse, and I can maybe just form up with one of them and say I know a little bit of magic, and I'm decent with a sword, so maybe that'll work. And Mira goes, "Yes, that should work. I mean, we don't know exactly how your magic works, but maybe you could mention that you know some magic, you know some sword play, and you're trying to figure every your magic out a little bit, but you also want to break the spell, you know, just because you're good natured, and maybe you can find some other good natured adventurers, and we can figure this out in the morning." And she goes, "Yes, but for now we should probably get some sleep, and we'll figure this out in the morning." And so she clears off the bed enough to where she can get some sleep, and she does that, and Mirror recedes back into the mirror. She wakes up the next morning, about mid morning roughly, At least she remembered a brush, she thinks, as she brushes her hair and puts it back. It's essentially a light ponytail. That way it's at least out of her face, and packs her bag back up, that not as nicely as she did the day before. Cleans herself up, brushes herself down, and of course puts Mirror away. She definitely can't forget Mirror. Makes sure her sword's on properly. Um, Looks herself, in the mirror at the wash basin and goes, "Okay, I can do this. I can definitely do this." Psychs herself up, of course, a little bit before walking back downstairs. And of course, there she sees the lovely bartender who we met last time and smiles and waves at him. And he goes, "Please sit down. Have a bite to eat." She goes, "All right, thank you." So she sits down at the bar, and he brings her some breakfast. It's just some eggs and some toasted bread. Well, fried bread, really. They don't have toast back then, but fried bread. Some fried bread, some eggs, some bacon. Not the type of bacon we have nowadays, but some bacon. And she eats it, and as she's eating and having some drink, she looks at him and she goes, and it's just some cider, by the way. She goes, I was wondering if there were any adventuring parties, or at least maybe an adventurer or two that's looking to break the curse. I'd like to join up with them, uh, um, possibly. Um, I know a little bit of magic, and I'm decent with a sword. Um, I'd like to help them." And he goes, "Well, yes, a couple parties have come by. I think, I think you would probably best be suited for, yes, best be suited for that table over there." And he points to a table in the corner, towards the front of the well, towards the doors of the tavern. I should say. And sitting there is a little green person with pointy ears, a gambeson with some leathers over it. Um, it's kind of hard to tell from this distance whether it's male or female. Got some daggers on them, it looks like. And sitting next to them it looks like a humanoid person with, are those wings? Those like angel wings, feathery wings of some type. And next to, and that's definitely a female, and they have a huge, like, hammer on their back. And then next to them is this person that just has their head on the table. So it's hard to tell, but they have this ginger, messy slop of a hair. And it looks like maybe halfway decent clothes on. And it looks like they have maybe a lyre on their back. And it looks like they have like a cat tail. And she looks a little bit closer, and yeah, they definitely have some cat ears. Definitely an interesting crew. And she looks back at the bartender. She goes, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Definitely. I know they don't look like much, but they're definitely a good people. I would trust you with them." And kind of gives her a wink, and she gives him a nod, and she slowly walks over to them, and she goes, "Excuse me, the bartender informed me that you might be looking to also break the curse on the king and such. So I was wondering if I might join you. I know a little bit of magic. I'm still learning how to use it, and I'm pretty decent with my sword here. Uh, I I I know I might be imposing, but if you don't mind. And the first person that looks at her is the female with the angel wings. She's got kind of a mix of almost black hair and almost pure white hair, uh, layered and mixed together. And she's got these stunningly silver eyes. And she's almost got a scar through one of her eyes. She's got at least clothes on. Not much in the way of armor, but clothes on. And she says, "Well," this woman says, "Well, sit down and we'll have a talk. Ignore my friend here who's half asleep. Please, sit down." And she goes, "Okay." And so she sits down, and the woman goes, "My name is Messiah. Uh, I'm pretty decent with my warhammer. Um, I hit things. If you can't tell, that's pretty much what I'm good at. The goblin here to my left, their name is Marita." And at this point, the little green fella jumps up on the table and goes, "Hi, I'm Marita. I'm good at stealing things, and yep, that's about it. I'm good at stealing things. Oh, and sneaking around and finding all kinds of information." And our princess goes, "Oh, wow, that's really good." And the one that introduced themselves first goes, "Yeah, they're kind of our information gatherer, you could say. That's what Marita does." And the one here asleep, well, that's Jack. Jack, uh, he's good at making distractions, is what he's good at. When he's not asleep, that is. He's asleep like 70% of the time, but the other 20% of the time, he's really good at singing and making distractions. "Jack, wake up." And she slaps Jack on the back of the head, and Jack shakes awake and goes, uh, oh, is it morning?" And Frida goes, "Yes, it is, Jack. This is our newest party member. I think you should introduce yourself to her." "Oh, right. Hi, I'm Jack. I make distractions. Can I go back to napping now?" As I told you, he likes to sleep a lot. He's a cat. Quite very much a cat. He sleeps a lot. "Yes, Jack, you can go back to napping." "Cool. Wake me up when we're ready to hit the road." And Jack puts his head back down on the table and goes right back to sleeping. Because he is, in fact, he has cat ears and cat tail, and his looking at his hands now, he has some claws. And Frida looks across the table and she goes, "What's your name?" And she goes, "You can just call me Maria." "Ah, Maria. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Maria. And hopefully it'll be a pleasure working with you. And yeah, we're gonna try and break this curse, and it's a pleasure to have you on board. You said you know some magic?" Yeah, I know some healing magic, and uh, I I can also buff you guys a little bit, and I can also uh make it to where the enemies aren't gonna be as strong. But like I said, I'm still learning out exactly everything about my magic. I'm not the best at it. Um, but hopefully, uh, I'll be decent at it. And if I get in close quarters, I do know how to use my sword. And Frida goes, all right. Well, that should be good enough. Hopefully, we can keep you out of close quarters. I normally do the close quarters combat, and uh, same with our Morita down there. So we'll keep you and Jack here out of close quarters, because Jack uh, gives us some inspiration in fighting as well. Oh, really? That does that mean he knows some magic too? Yeah, Jack knows a little magic, but maybe he can help teach you on the road and stuff, and you two can I think it's called exchanging notes. Yeah, that's what it's called. Um, and maybe we can find some other magic people too on the way. Yeah, we can look for them for Jack might not be too interested, but we can at least do it for you. Oh, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much. And don't be so nervous around us. You're part of the group now. Uh, all right, all right. I'll try not to be. It's just I've never been part of a group before. I just normally stick to myself. Well, you're part of the group now, and we're not gonna let nothing happen to you. Uh, all right, cool. Um, okay. I have a room here for like a week. If you guys need a place to stay, while you're here, well, actually, that would be a huge help. Does it only have one bed? I I mean, I can always get the room transferred to something that has more than one bed. I can always ask the bartender. I think I paid a little too much. Um, and that way we could have like maybe two beds. I think he could do that. Um, yeah. How about you go see about that, and that way we can have two beds, one for me and you and Marita, and then one for Jack, 'cause Jack moves too much in the bed. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll go do that, and I'll come right back. And so she goes and she squares away the room and gets it for two beds instead of one, which isn't a problem. Our lovely bartender sets them right up, gets it squared away, and she goes back to the group and informs them they have a room with two beds for the week. And I guess next time we'll see just what type of information they can get while they're in town. But now she's found a little group, and we'll see where this goes next.